Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki, and in front of me I have the result of a video I posted a few weeks ago where I got magazine pages that only had text on them. Normally you'd throw them in the recycling bin, and I showed you how to really easily make some collage fodder sheets just using paint, simple basic things and shapes from around the house. And today I thought I'd do a video and show you some of the things I do with this sort of collage fodder, because sometimes people might make all this stuff and then go, well, that's all very nice, but what do I do with it now? So I am going to grab some things from around the house like packaging and scraps of card and stuff, and we're going to make some pretty things. So if you haven't already watched this video, I'll put a link to it down in the description box because you might like to make some collage fodder. So let's get crafting. So the first piece we're going to make is a large tag, or large-ish, and I have done some prep work just to save your precious time. You don't need to watch me cutting out every tiny bit. So what I've done, I've taken this piece, I have cut a bit out, I have backed it onto a piece of packaging. This one is just a plain white back, so that just looks like a piece of white cardstock, but it's actually a noodle box, so that does the job. And I've just glued it down with my trusty glue stick. I only use this brand. It's definitely the best as far as I'm concerned. And the next thing I want to do is add a little bit of a layering piece in here. So what I was thinking, we might do a little bit of tearing here. This doesn't have to be any particular size or anything like that. I just want to bring a second piece in, and now we're going to glue this down, but I don't want that magazine word bit down the bottom, so let's just nudge it south of that. Okay, so we've just glued that down, and then I will grab my scissors, which of course now I can't find. Yes, there they are. I had them right next to me, and then of course I put my piece of paper on top of it. We'll just trim this off. Voila, that was easy. So that's two pieces used. Then the next thing I did, I went through some of the other bits I made, and I grabbed my big 40mm punch, which can be a bit of a temperamental old cow. Like this magazine page was quite thin, so got a little bit grumpy with me there, but that's okay. These were a little bit thicker and it did punch perfectly. So I just grabbed a few different bits, and I'm now going to glue these down as well. So just a little bit of contrast, adding the tiniest little bit of colour with this hot pink. Otherwise, keeping everything completely monochrome. Actually, maybe we might, yes, I might have to do this one next. I've just got a piece of junk mail next to me here, which is what I use for gluing. And I purposefully will have that on an angle, that doesn't matter. I did make sure that the wording was the correct way around there, but honestly, it doesn't matter. Not life or death. And then here's just a bit of smudgy black stuff. And just to be different, we're going to put the wording the other way around there. There we go. So that's just three simple little circles. Then I also had this little bit stenciled down onto another magazine page. So we're going to add that as well. And we'll just pop that right there. Then I decided I needed something else on here. So I grabbed this stamp set. This one I purchased off Temu. I find I grab it all the time. It's very handy. We're going to pop that down here. And then what I did, when I fussy cut this out, I left a little bit of white just so that it stood out a little bit, even though it does blend in quite well. And I've sort of gone, everything was circly, and then when I saw this stamp with the circles. I thought that was perfect. Then I found this little sentiment, and real not perfect, sort of really matched this whole thing perfectly, I thought, but I wanted a tiny bit more pink. So I have grabbed this, it's a very hot pink jelly roll pen, and I thought if I just put it to use and put like little stitching around the edge, and that way I'm just getting a little pop of pink to match up the top there. So we're just going to put this aside and let that dry for a few minutes, because the one thing I want to do is add a tab to the top. I found a black and white spot one in my stash, which I thought was perfect. Now, traditionally, whale tail tabs are designed to go on like that. I prefer them the other way around, so I always chop mine in half. And I'll use some real glue for these. I always use Helmer Tiger Grip for all these things. I just decant it into this so I have the fine tip. And it's my all-time favourite glue for basically everything when it comes to journaling and paper crafting, except for thinner papers, just in case they're too thin. And this may sometimes make it go a little wonky, but usually it's pretty good. I don't have to worry, but there we go. We'll get that roughly in the middle. And then all we do is exactly the same thing on this side. Grab my tweezers, flip it over, and try and get them to match up as best we can. There we go. So we've just added a bit more in the way of circles. It sort of brings everything together. Now this, is it dry? That is the question, because I don't want to smudge it. It's looking pretty good, I think. We're going to find out. Again, this was printed on cardstock, so I'm happy to use the stronger glue. And I think we'll just pop it right down the bottom here. And if I'm careful, I don't even have to touch my little stitches, so they can just dry a little longer. There we go. And we're going to call that one complete. I think that looks very cool. And it's very easy to do when you've already made all your messy papers. So that's one of the beauties, of course, having a stash of this. You can pull together cards and things very quickly. So that's number one. Nice and easy. And now we'll go on to the next one. For this next one, I'm going to do something very grungy, a bit vintagey, because this is sort of quite a messy, grungy background, and I think it might be perfect for that sort of thing. So what I've done, again, this is going to be a journaling card or whatever you'd like. It's been put onto a piece of packaging. This is from a Dr. Oetker pizza box that happens to be brown on the inside. Perfect for if you want to do vintagey style things. You don't even have to colour that, but you could spray it with a bit of coffee if you felt like it. So first, we're going to grab my all-time favourite stencil. It's looking a little bit worse for wear, this poor thing. I don't know where I got it from. I've had it forever. But whenever I'm doing anything vintagey or grungy, this is the one I reach for, because it's letters, numbers, symbols. It's fabulous. And what we're going to do is grab some Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. And I like to do stenciling with distress inks with a makeup brush. You get these very cheaply at discount shops. I have a whole selection of them for different colours. Then I've just put a piece of scrap white paper down, just so I don't put the ink onto my mat. And I'm just doing across, sort of on a bit of an angle. I don't need to cover the whole thing, I don't think, at this stage. Let's see, how does that look? Oh yes, that's just the sort of look I was going for. So pop this aside. Now the next thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to ink the edges, and to really go grungy I'm going darker, using ground espresso for this, and I'm going to be nice and generous. I like using these little daubers. I find them perfect, especially if you do want to do it nice and neat. In this case, I'm prepared to try and do it a bit heavier and messier because I think it goes with what I'm doing here. There we go. Oh, that's looking very grungy. Then I was going through my ephemera and I found this little clock, and I thought that would work. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to very gently just grunge the edge of this too, because otherwise I know I'll glue it down and I'll forget. I just want to make it a little bit darker. Okay, that bit's ready so I don't forget. Then I'm grabbing this stamp, clocks, more clocks. So I thought, let's stick with the clock theme. Oh, actually, this one is very hard to get off here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave it on the backing sheet. I might stamp this in brown instead of black too. So let's see. Is there anywhere? Oh, it doesn't really matter. It all looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Whoops-a-daisy. Flip this over. And we'll just get that right down. There we go. Actually, what I might do is just do this to help get some more pressure on there. Yes, I think this was a $2 clearance. I got it at Kaiser Craft one day, and I love it, but it's so hard to get off the back, so most of the time I just don't worry about it. There we go. See, you can just nicely see the clocks there, and we've added some more brown, so we've added some more grunge. Then the next thing, I went through my washies. I've got a few vintage style washi tapes, and this one was all about booking a gate, court, time number, table number. I thought this would be perfect. It's what I love about washi tape style stickers. You can still see some of that pattern underneath, which is perfect. And then let's add our clock. Now let's see. Funny thing is it seems to go, oh no, that's it, that's correct. And let's pop this. I don't want to lose all of that clock. Might pop that right on there. There we go. I think that's dark and grungy enough. Love how that turned out. So even my backing piece that didn't turn out quite the way I had planned has now been put to perfectly good use. Time for the next one. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to brighten things up a little bit. I took this particular page that I made and I cut a heap of strips out. They're all a variety of sizes. We're going to simply glue them onto here. This is a scrap of matte photo paper. I sometimes need photos for my journaling. I end up with, you know, half sheets, quarter A4 sheets left, and I keep them and use them as white cardstock. Perfect for that. And I'm working with a piece of baking paper down here so that if we get glue over the sides, it's not a problem. It will peel straight off. But the reason why I want to glue over the sides, when I'm doing this, I'll show you how I glue in a sec, but it helps to get all your edges really nicely glued down if your strips are longer than your actual card. You can then, of course, just trim them off, but trying to glue little bits and making sure you get glue on all the ends, honestly, it's not worth the trouble. This is a much easier way of doing things. So all you do is you grab your glue stick. I'm just going to turn this on the side a little bit so I can sort of see what I'm doing. And I'm going to just run a nice little bit of glue. Then we'll start off with one that's a little bit larger, I think, for the top, so that when I trim off my edges to make my tag, there's a more solid piece up the top. Then we just keep going. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a little space in between each one. It looks pretty cool when it's done. Now, you could, of course, also do this same sort of thing using all different scraps. I just like the idea of these colours and things, and I thought, no, I want to do one all with the same papers, but not the same, if you get my drift. And just leaving that little white underneath looks very cool. And then you just keep working your way along. And by putting the glue down on your paper first, it just makes life easier, and it's quicker than trying to glue all these little strips and making sure you've got good coverage. This is quicker. I like this. No, this one here. Bit similar actually here. I don't want to lose all that, because this bronzy copper paint's one of my favourite things. I use it a lot. Perfect. So just grabbing my scissors. This piece of card obviously wasn't cut perfectly evenly, so we'll just give that a trim so that the bottom's nice and flush. And then we're going to cut some corners. And of course, you can further embellish this if you want to, or you can just leave it like this. I think it looks pretty cool the way it is. Voila. And there you have a really cool looking tag. I love how that turned out. Time for the next one. So if you need to make a quick card for somebody because you just haven't had time to go out and buy cards, all you need is a blank ready-made card, or you can, of course, just use white cardstock or any colour that you like. I just happen to have some plain blank white ones. And then what I've done, I've grabbed my papers. Now, for this first one, I quickly drew out a rectangle. You'll just see the results of that drawing there. Of course, it doesn't matter because no one's going to see that. And I tore this page out by hand. So that's the first piece, which we're going to glue down now. So there's our first piece. Done. Then for the second one, I just grabbed a normal ruler and tore around the edges, and I've made it a little bit smaller, obviously, so you can see the print in behind it. We don't want to cover it all up, and we're not going to try and put them perfectly in alignment. We're going to make them a little bit off center just for fun, but if you like things very centered, by all means do so. Then for the lucky last one, I've made it smaller again, and I just use my little decal edge to tear this one out. So it's very simple. You can cut them all perfectly square. You don't have to tear your edges if you don't want to. That could be something else that you do. And again, we won't put this one right. Actually, we might even do it like, no, we won't. We'll keep with the same thing. There's no reason why you couldn't cut lovely, neat rectangles if that's your jam. I have a habit of missing this corner, don't I? There we go. And then all you need is a sentiment. I just happen to have one here. And we're going to glue this on, and voila, we have made ourselves a very interesting, very unique card. This will be a little thank you card, because I found this first in my stash, so I decided a thank you card it is. And I also liked this because it has the metallic gold on it, and there's some gold paint on that, so that all matches together very nicely. So have a look. How quick and easy is this? You can make your own gift cards. Of course, you can also make gift tags. That's another thought. There's plenty of ways you can use up all these pretty pages. So, time for the next one. So do you have leftover bits of cardstock that you would call quite ugly? I think I used some of this in a Halloween thing I've done, but I'm happy to call this a very ugly piece of cardstock. So we're going to use this as our base, use up this little scrap, and create something that's a little bit prettier. So I've glued this piece down onto my ugly cardstock, and I think this actually could make quite a cute little postcard to send to someone. No reason why you can't decorate your own. Now, what we're going to do next, I made these using Q-tips, and I had this vision in my head to use these as like the base for a flower. So I thought what I would do is I'm just going to grab a pen, and I'm going to sort of very roughly draw in some petals, and then we're going to cut it out and see how that looks. But I thought these would make very cute flowers. So we're not going to cut. It doesn't have to cut right up to the edge. Then I'll do one without the drawing part, and we'll see which we like best. I mightn't like any of them yet. No, that looks like a cute flower. I like that. But I think I might do the lines on the next one as well, just so that they match. Quickly trim this one too. Voila, now we have ourselves a couple of flowers. Very cute. Now, the other thing, I did this sheet of leaves where I actually got leaves from the garden, painted some paint onto them, and then just stamped them down. And I thought this would look quite cute under here, maybe. Let's see. Because these were lighter in green. Lighter shade of green. Actually, what we could also do is wonder if we want a bit of dark too. Decisions. Because these are so big, these leaves. I wonder if I could, hang on, let's chop one of these out. Okay, so think about this. If we go a bit like this, and create a couple of darker ones, that would look quite cute too. Oh, this will do. Maybe we'll put that on top of the lighter one instead. More contrast. Oh, I think that works quite well. Right, let's get gluing. Where do we start? Okay, this one, we'll put this down first. If you want to be really precise, you can put a little, grab a pencil and just mark where you roughly want to glue these down. In this case, I'm not that concerned about perfect placement, but if you have something that's a very definite shape and you really want it to be in the correct spot, pencil marks are the go, and then just glue your bits down just over the pencil mark so that you don't even have to know it's there. Okay, that's that one. Then we can put this one, because I might actually use this as a little postcard to send to a pen pal. So I want to sort of keep this area, no, that will be fine, just because the little stamp will have to go up there. So I don't want this leaf up too high. But it doesn't matter, of course, if a little bit gets covered. Then I'll get our darker green one and slide that on top. Yeah, I like that dark green there. You can see that much better. And our second flower down. Voila. Oh, this is very cute. I do like this. And I have room up there for a little stamp. And then I can fill out the sender details and add a little note. Very cute. Another easy one. All done and dusted. Just using up paints and magazine pages. Time for the last one. So you'll see here I have torn off strips from a selection of papers. They're all straight at the bottom. That doesn't matter. So this is a good way to use like the edge instead of cutting into the middle of a page. And we're just going to glue them all down the same way I did the last one. The only thing we're going to have flat is the first and the bottom one, just so that we have a neat edge. So we're going to put this one on here first. Now this time, of course, when I'm adding glue, I need to add some glue along the top as well, because we're going to add them over the top so we get all these lovely little rough torn edges as the colours change. This is an easy way to make your own papers. You can use these for anything. Use up all your little leftover scraps that you've made. And then the lucky last one, of course, we're going to put down with a straight edge. Again, on a piece of baking paper, because it peels straight off. And it's all done. So I was pondering what to do with this piece, and I decided to cut it in half and turn them into bookmarks. So what I did, I had these leftover scraps. I've just backed them onto some just paper cardstock, not super thick. And I'm going to make a little tab to put up the top of each of these. And we might just cut the corners off. And we can glue them down. Now, I want to use that side there because it's got all the copper colour on it at the front, but it doesn't really matter. So we just add some glue. And this way, if this bit sticks out the top of the book, it's quite solid. It will cope with a bit of bashing. And then just press that down nice and firm. There we go. See, what this is a fun thing to make for friends or swap partners. And then just for a little bit of extra fun, I found a couple of cute little things in my stash. This cute little girl, I thought she would look cool just for a little bit of extra deco. Of course, you don't have to do this. Put that right down the bottom there. And then I also found this cute little sticker. And I liked the black and white. So I thought we'll pop this one on the other one. Voila. And now we have two very cute bookmarks. Easy peasy. And one final thing, I decided this needed a tab of some sort. And of course I had this little scrap, so I did exactly the same thing, except I glued one of the thinner strips onto a thicker one. So we got a little bit of extra contrast there. And which way do we want this one to go? Okay. And that's, of course, our other tag done. So we've made bookmarks, we've made tags, another tag, a journaling card, a gift card, and a little postcard. See, all the fun things you can make that look totally original. No one will have one that's exactly the same as this, all by getting out your paints, old magazine pages, and having some crafty fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments box below. And I would love it if you could just give this video a thumbs up, please. It does help my channel get seen by other people. So thank you very much for watching. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.